Well, I want to first just say that I want to thank the U.S. for saving their best World Cup qualifying game in an absolute must-win game against Panama and have a offensive explosion in the first half to really kind of calm the nerves of a lot of U.S. fans because coming into this game and especially after when this game was about to kick off where the news broke out in El Salvador where Costa Rica was able to win 2-1 in that game against El Salvador, that a lot of U.S. fans that was already kind of hype up for this game, there might be some even more extreme nervousness knowing the fact that this is basically an absolute must-win game. Like, if they do not win this game, if they get a draw, or worse, if they get a loss in this game against Panama, then that task on Wednesday going down to Costa Rica and going to San Jose to get a result, yeah, that's going to be a monumental task. But like I said, it's great that the U.S. of course saved their best performance in this game and that, yeah, they had an explosive first half performance that in the end not only gave them the win but also improved their goal differential and pretty much almost secured their spot of going to Qatar on Wednesday. But in terms of the starting 11 in this game, we got Zach Steffen, Shaq Moore, Walker Zimmerman, Anthony Robinson, Miles Robinson, Tyler Adams, Jonas Musa, Christian Pulisic, Luca De La Torre, Paul Arriola, and Jesus Ferreira. So it's kind of a B plus / A minus kind of a team. Of course, there are some notable name that is missing in this one. One of them, of course, is Tim Weah, who was suspended for this game after picking a yellow card in the last game. But even without him being here, it doesn't seem like the U.S. kind of miss him because it turns out that tonight, this was a night where Christian Pulisic is making sure that, yeah, he is basically the Captain America, and he is a guy that is going to carry this team on his back to get them to the World Cup in just a couple of months. And in the first half, like I said, even though I know a lot of fans probably have heard about the reserve between El Salvador and Costa Rica, the crowd was very energetic. Like, that was probably the loudest I've heard Explorer Stadium, and the atmosphere was absolutely rocking. Even louder than probably when Orlando played against NYCFC in that playoff game. And this is not to diss Orlando City fans, but yeah, it was just an absolute party atmosphere. I mean, albeit at that time it was kind of a very nervous party atmosphere because, the crowd from the mid-goal, they were really trying to will this U.S. team to get the opening goal. Though early on, Carrasquilla fires a volley hot from 20 yards out. Obviously, Coco Carrasquilla from the Houston Dynamo almost gave Panama the opening lead, and I thought the U.S. didn't get off to the best start in this game. Like, they were having trouble in terms of dealing with the press that Panama was putting in. I mean, for people that think that Panama was going to just sit back and try to hit the U.S. on the counter, yeah, it seemed like they definitely threw a bit of a curveball early on where they were definitely pressing, and that I think maybe that caught the U.S. a little bit off guard. Now, as the time goes, they started to figure things out, and Panama did kind of started to not press as much, but early on, I think the U.S. were a little bit surprised at the fact that Panama was actually going for it, and I don't blame them considering that you talk about this game being a must-win for the U.S. It's the same for Panama too, because knowing that game between Costa Rica and El Salvador and Costa Rica getting the win, if Panama doesn't win this, they're eliminated in the World Cup qualifying window. So they basically knew that they had to go for it and try to get a win. Fiera then fires a cross that almost was deflected. Oh, another thing I want to say is that the U.S., they not only they kind of got off to a slow start, but they weren't really sharp going for it on the attacking end. And early on, the first real opportunity came when Fiera fires a cross that was almost deflected in. But then in the 14th minute, I think this was a huge moment in this game, and maybe the moment that really kind of gave the U.S. an offensive explosion, because up to that point, there was no signs that you would think that the U.S. just about 30 minutes later would be up 4-0 in this one. But there was a penalty that was given to the U.S. after VAR basically deemed that either Godoy basically shoved Zimmerman down in the box, or there's a handball on Godoy in the box. And the reason why I wrote both of those scenarios is because pick your choice of what exactly that is a penalty against Godoy and against Panama, because the first one, you can clearly see that Godoy decided to kind of did his classic CONCACAF kind of thing, which is basically grab Zimmerman almost in the face and in the throw and just kind of throw him down in the box. And for those that wonder, how is that not a red card? Well, you definitely have not watched enough CONCACAF kind of match. But also there was a second sequence where there was actually a handball on Godoy. And by the way, John Strong and Stu Holden, they were kind of talking about the Zimmerman foul, that they didn't even realize that there was actually going to be like a handball until the replay was shown. But yeah, again, I don't know exactly to this time whether if VAR said that the U.S. got a penalty because Godoy basically shut Zimmerman down in the box with his hand, or was that actually a handball on Godoy. But either way, it is still a penalty for the U.S. And by the way, Jesus Ferreira, he was actually holding the ball, looking like he was going to take this penalty. And I get it, Jesus Ferreira, he finally gets an opportunity with the U.S. and look to show why he belongs with the national team. And he's also been in incredible form after scoring that hat trick against the Portland Timbers not long ago. But you just got to think that, yeah, I feel like it's clear that Christian Pulisic has to take this penalty, and he wisely gave it to Pulisic there, which, unsurprisingly, Pulisic was able to convert it, and the U.S. were leading 1-0 up to that point. And as I said, this was a huge moment in this game, because this is when the floodgates really started to open in this one. Though before that, in the 17th minute, there was another big moment where there was just a mad scramble in the U.S. box that somehow Panama weren't able to put one in. Like this ball was just kind of dangling in the box. And also I thought Zach Steffen, this kind of all started when I think Steffen didn't really get to the ball here. I mean, Steffen had a really nervy first half in a way where I thought, especially after this play, I thought he was playing hurt and he was injured. But yeah, this almost caused the U.S. to give up the goal immediately, and that would have been an absolute killer if the U.S., who just took the lead, and just maybe give their fans a little bit of a sigh of relief, to now immediately concede on the other end. The game is tied at 1 apiece, and then just 6 minutes later, the U.S. would double their lead, and it's Arriola scoring from Robinson and Pulisic to make it 2-0 in favor of the U.S. I mean, there was a lot of critics of saying that Arriola was in the starting 11, and a lot of people weren't happy about that, but he's basically proving those haters wrong with him scoring here. And by the way, he actually scored this one on a header, and I think later John Strong mentioned the fact that this is only his second header that he have ever scored in his career. He scored one with DC United back in 2018, but yeah, it's not a surprise that Paul Arriola is not a guy that you would think that can score header, because he's only 5'6". Like, a guy that is that tiny, you would not expect him to basically be popped into the box and basically heads that one in, but that of course is the case. And then just 3 minutes later, it would be 3-0 in favor of the U.S. as Jesus Ferreira, who, as I mentioned, he's been in incredible form in the club level of FC Dallas, that continued into the national team as he scored here from Arriola to make it 3-0 in favor of the U.S. And up to this point, I basically just wrote the floodgate was open as Panama defense basically were nowhere to find. Like, they were just capitulated in terms of the two goals that they can see. Like, when you allow a 5'6" Paul Arriola to score, and then also just basically play no defense whatsoever and allow Ferreira to walk into the 18-yard box, or even the 6-yard area to just easily tap that one in, yeah, your defense is just completely capitulated. And yeah, the U.S. were up 3-0 in this game. I'm pretty sure that nervous energy from the U.S. fans must be completely gone, because it was just a party atmosphere at Explorer Stadium. When these goals came in, the crowd really just exploded in a way that they felt like the U.S. has just kind of qualified for the World Cup. Now, in the 27th minute, there's another interesting moment when Steffen basically was trying to catch the ball as it was come to him, but he dropped this one, and there was actually an opportunity for Bersenius to basically capitalize on that mistake from Steffen, but somehow in some way Steffen was able to deny him, and it was actually the motion that Steffen basically dropped the ball, and then somehow on the way he was kind of landing on the ground, he basically makes the save from Bersenius. I mean, I don't know how he's able to do that, but at this point I also wrote that Steffen needs to be subbed off, since you can clearly see he is playing hurt, and that I was worry the fact that he's going to cost us a goal just because he's not clearly not 100% fit. In fact, Ethan Horvath was actually warming up, looking like he was going to be come in, but it turns out Stefan would actually stay for the rest of this game. Now, in the 40th minute, Godoy fired one wide after the flag went up. I thought the U.S. started to become a little bit too casual at the back and need to watch out for those turnovers. I mean, there's been time in the first half where the U.S. were being a little bit too casual in the back, and that there was just some bad turnover that they committed there. Fiera then tried to bike one in the 42nd minute, but unfortunately he got that technique all wrong. The referee seems to be going to full CONCACAF mode and not show any cards. I mean, there was just so many fouls that you can pick to say how in the world that's not a yellow card, and that, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing with a lot of these CONCACAF match where it just feels like you need to do something very cynical to get a yellow card in this. Though you can also maybe do something that's not cynical, and that the referee, that he feels like it, he'll just give you the yellow card. I mean, that's kind of just the experience and also the frustration of CONCACAF refereeing, and I don't blame that players don't like it too, because it just feels so unpredictable. The fact that they can get a yellow card for something that isn't really considered a foul, but they also will not get a yellow card or see their opponent basically just kind of choke them or even hack them in the face, and somehow their opposition wouldn't get a yellow card. Though that being said, in the first minute of stoppage time, another penalty was rewarded to the U.S. after Godoy basically brought down Robinson in the box, which Pulisic was able to step up again to take the penalty. He scores here to make it 4-0 in favor of Panama. And then there was definitely a bit of a scuffle between both of these teams. Again, this is when frustration started to boil over, and that Panama was trying to route up the U.S. a little bit, and they definitely target Pulisic in this moment because Moreno basically shoved Pulisic, and Pulisic was definitely not happy about that. And in fact, one of the Panamanian players on the bench, he actually kicked the ball toward Pulisic, and that also kind of riled up Christian there, because he must be absolutely fuming that not only he got shot by one of the Panamanian player, but he's also getting kicked by some of the players on the bench. And also, after all this sequence, no card was shown in this sequence. I mean, that if it doesn't get more peak CONCACAF kind of refereeing than what we saw here, where a scuffle like that, and even a player basically kicked the ball toward Pulisic, does not get a yellow card at all in that sequence. But there was just no doubt that I thought Panama, they were being sore loser. Like, they were trying to route up the U.S., trying to get themselves sent off. And I thought the U.S. need to kind of keep their composure, because this is what they're going to have to deal with it for the remaining of the game. And I thought for the remaining of the second half, they definitely done a much better in terms of that. But as we get to halftime, with the U.S. leading big 4-0 against Panama, and even when they're leading big, you kind of had a feeling that they need to still keep going, because the goal difference is huge in World Cup qualifying play, and that if the U.S. can able to win big here as they are right now, they can improve the goal differential and really kind of almost put an impossible task for Costa Rica on Wednesday when they play the U.S. to be able to overcome to of course qualify into one of the automatic qualifying spot for the World Cup. But we go to the second half, and in the second half, just 1 minute in after Gio Reyna was subbed into this game, he almost scored immediately as he went through on goal, but pulled it wide. Though I thought Panama did kind of start the second half the better team and create some dangerous just half chances. Again, they were really pushing to trying to get one back and try to maybe give them some hope that they can overcome this 4-0 deficit. Though Davis did have to clear what could have been the U.S. fifth goal off the line before Fiera basically skies one from 10 yards out. And I also kind of wrote, it's a good thing that the U.S. are having problem in terms of finishing now instead of when the game is at 0-0. Because imagine if the game is at 0-0 and the U.S. is having problem in terms of finishing. Oh boy, there's going to be even more nervous energy at Explorer Stadium instead of now saying that, well, yeah, the finishing is still not up to that point, but at least we're leading big here and we don't have anything to worry about. Though that being said, the fifth goal would eventually come for the U.S. in the 65th minute as Pulisic would complete his hat trick here from Robinson and De La Torre to make it 5-0 for the U.S. That's the first ever hat trick for Christian Pulisic it with the U.S. men's national team. And yeah, I mean, that was just absolutely filth of how he completed his hat trick. Like he basically done a couple of Panamanian defender, even nutmeg one of them as he strike that one toward the goal. I mean, that is just a textbook way to cap off what turns out to be a monster night for the captain, and a guy that, I can't believe a couple of games ago there was a lot of people questioning whether or not if Christian Pulisic is actually going to be the superstar of this team, and that even some call him to be benched because he just not been in a good form. But in these last couple of games in the World Cup qualifying window, and especially now that he started to get back into good form, even in the club level with Chelsea, it's not a big surprise the fact that he has started to perform the way that we expect him to perform for this U.S. team. But there was no doubt it was party atmosphere at Orlando. Medina then fired one over the bar in the 79th minute before Reina would do the same thing just a minute later, this time from 22 yards out. But in the 85th minute, Panama did get a consolation goal, and Anibal Godoy, who had a rough night in this one, he would actually ends up on the score sheet from Davis to make it 5-1 in favor of the U.S. I wrote thanks John Strong because literally on that free kick, John Strong basically said that, yeah, the U.S. is pretty much on the verge of getting a shutout, and look what happened. They didn't get the shutout. Like that is just a classic commentary curse, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people, especially when I was also looking at the Reddit comment on the MLS website as I watching this game, a lot of people were very upset at John Strong, especially with the way that he basically just jinxed it. The fact that he said the thing that you shouldn't say when the team is about to get a shutout, and look what happened. They immediately they gave up a goal. But in the end, despite that, that's kind of really the only negative for the U.S., where they weren't able to keep a clean sheet, because in the end, in a must-win game, they got an emphatic 5-1 win against Panama. And the shots in this one, 15 shots compared to the 10 that Panama has, 5 shots on goal compared to the 2 that Panama has, 4 shots off target compared to the 5 that the U.S. had, 4 shots that was blocked compared to the 5 that the U.S. had. And possession-wise, Panama actually had the better possession, 61% possession compared to the 39% possession that the U.S. has in this game. But there's no doubt that with this win, the U.S. are literally they already have one step through the door to go to Qatar in the World Cup. And, I also want to say that, as much as I know they're literally that close to reaching the World Cup, I'm not going to say that they have made it to the World Cup right now, because honestly, we said the same thing back in 2017 when they got an emphatic victory against Panama in Orlando, and look what happened in the very next game. Everything that could have gone wrong basically went wrong for the U.S., and that's why they missed the World Cup in 2017. And, I know some people don't believe that lightning can strike twice, but, you just never know. Like, this is why in that game against Costa Rica, I mean, I hope that the U.S. won't just simply bunker throughout the entire game and hope that they can get like a 0-0 draw or even a low-scoring loss so that they can move on. I really want to see this team to show some intensity and show that no fear kind of mentality against Costa Rica, because I just feel like heading into the next game, if they want to show that they definitely are considered one of the powerhouse in this region, they would be able to go down to Costa Rica and act like it in that. But knowing Greg Berhalter, it seems like that's not going to happen. They're probably just going to bunker throughout the full 90 minutes, and yeah, we'll see how that game is going to turn out. I mean, I think the score would be 5 or 6-0 in favor of Costa Rica is the only way for Costa Rica to pass the U.S. But again, crazy things has happened, and we definitely saw that crazy thing happen in 2017, so I'm not going to say anything until what we're going to happen on Wednesday, and until that 90th minute is over on Wednesday, that we can safely say that the U.S. have officially qualified to the World Cup in Qatar later this year, that they of course been able to get through this grinding World Cup qualifying window, of able to redeem themselves that they and kind of maybe forgive some of the mess that they had back in 2017 and that infamous night in Cuba. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this video and what do you think of this game. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.